Okay, so welcome back to Values-Based Recovery. Once again, I'm Dr. Brian Berman. I'm a clinical psychologist working with drug and alcohol patients as well as mental health patients. With me, as always, is Dr. Joseph Troncali, medical doctor, medical director, addictionologist. And today we want to speak a little bit about one of the main and most important processes in acceptance and commitment therapy, and that is values. So I'll tell you a little bit about what values are, what the distinction between values and goals are, and then maybe even go into a little bit of an exercise where you get to identify the different life domains of values and sort of how to plot that to see how much you're living in accordance with those values. All right, so what are values? Values are basically defined as really a life direction that you want to take. Any life direction you think is going to provide you meaning and allow you to be the person that you want to be in life is a value. All right? Values can never quite fully be achieved, so we can always continue to grow and build in the area of values. And values are extremely motivating. We are willing to do a whole lot of things and put up with a whole lot of uncomfortable situations in pursuit of what we find to be truly important in life. So, for example, maybe we value recovery, right? And recovery is something that we can always continue to grow in. So I can be in recovery from drugs and alcohol for 20 years, and even then I continue to build and grow in my recovery and my maintenance and my life. So that's a great example of a value. Plus recovery, for those who have ever been in it, you know that you're willing to put up a whole lot of distressing thoughts, emotions, situations in pursuit of this thing that's so important. I know here at our facility we typically see patients who are going to sit in groups when it's really uncomfortable for them, work through their trauma, all kinds of things, all because they have this one thing that's so important to them. This thing called recovery, that they're willing to not escape these uncomfortable thoughts, feelings, and sensations, but really welcome them into their lives and take it with them in pursuit of what they value.
And if I could just jump in, one of the things that I hear most frequently from people who do come into treatment is that they value their family. Mm-hmm. And relationships tend to be high on most people's value list. And as Dr. Berman was saying, people are willing to do a lot of things to preserve relationships, whether it's in family or whether it's outside of families and that sort of thing, and to do sacrifice uncomfortable things and that sort of thing because they value those relationships.
Yes, very much so. Values are incredibly empowering, incredibly motivating. There's so much that we're willing to do in pursuit of our values. But that brings us to the next topic, goals. What are we willing to do in pursuit of our values? And what is the difference between goals and values? Remember that values are really unachievable. It's a life path you're going to continue to move down. It's going to provide you meaning and value. That's different than goals. Goals are measurable and observable steps in pursuit of what we value. Right? So if we want to go back to the recovery example, recovery is a life path we're going to take, right? But there may be 12 steps that we take in pursuit of that recovery, that value. So you can even see that AA has many of the same principles as acceptance and commitment therapy. We want to find measurable, observable steps that are going to move us towards what is important to us in life. Just as another example, I had a goal of being a licensed clinical psychologist. And I took tests, and I did a dissertation, I did all this stuff, and I got the stamp of approval. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist. Yay, right? This was a goal. I did it because I value being a meaningful clinician in my patients' lives. And in this area, I can always continue to grow, and I can always continue to build. Okay?
And another goal, for instance, that we hear a lot about is, for instance, a 90 and 90. You know, a goal would be for somebody to go to 90 meetings in 90 days. So the value is recovery, the goal is 90 and 90.
Right, very much so. And you might even think of values as a lifestyle. when you really value something, you are maintaining a lifestyle. And when we're talking about addiction and recovery, we're talking about reaching a place of maintenance. So when you've done that, I think you're really living in accordance with your values and expanding those values as well. What I'd like to do now is introduce you to a values exercise that we really like to use a lot with our patients. This one is called the Values Bullseye, and it's got 2 pages to it. We don't have the original author here, but you can find it on thehappinesstrap.com by Dr. Russ Harris. Okay, and so what's going on with this Values Bullseye? For those of you who want to fill it out yourself, or if you want to do it with your patients. Now, if you can't remember what the difference is between values and goals, that's okay, because right at the top they tell you all about that, so you can take a look at that. And on this first page here, there's 4 categories, okay? 4 valued life domains. And what we would want you to do, or any patient you're working with to do, is just begin filling in what it is they think they value in that particular life domain. So the first one here, we have work and education, then we have relationships, then we have personal growth and health, and the last one is leisure. Now, as you're doing it, you still want to be mindful. Is what I'm writing down a goal, or is what I'm writing down a value, right? Remembering that goals are the measurable, observable steps that move us towards our life path, which is our values. So we're trying to write down the life path kind of stuff. And once you spend a decent amount of time, take your time with it, filling out these 4 valued life domains, you're going to come to this bullseye. And you'll notice that the bullseye itself is cut up into 4 quadrants that are representative of those 4 valued life domains. And depending on how much you are living in accordance with your value will depend on how close you put an X on the line towards the bullseye. So for instance, if I value relationships, if I value relationships, and I feel as though I get to see my children on a daily basis, I have intimacy with my wife or husband, this kind of thing, then I'm going to probably place an X very close to the bullseye, or maybe even in the bullseye. All right, that means that I am living in accordance to what's important to me in life, my value. However, if I'm spending all my time with my family, maybe I'm not spending as much time at work. If I truly value work and career, or I'm waking up late and this kind of thing. So maybe in a work area, I'd be more on the outskirts, maybe in the middle, or the outside here I'd put an X. Because for this particular life domain, I'm not living in accordance to what I value. And what this does is it really helps to clarify, A, what my values are, and B, how much I'm moving towards what I value. And if I am on the outskirts and I'm not moving towards what I value, what's getting in the way? As I think about moving towards that value, what feelings and thoughts pop up that stop me from moving towards it, right? What stories is my mind telling me that if I spend time with my family or go to work that this may happen? What feelings of anxiety, shame, guilt, whatever it is, pop up that stop me in my tracks? And can I begin to mindfully hold those in mindfulness, have a little acceptance to take those with me so they no longer block me from moving towards what I value? And if I am living in a life in accordance with what I value, my quality of life tends to go really high up. And when that happens, these other things that are holding me back, they tend to go down anyway. So it's a very useful tool.
And if you use this tool, once you figure out where people fall on this, it's really pretty simple to actually help them set goals to work towards the bullseye.
Good.
So in other words, for instance, almost everybody that I talk to here in treatment basically has problems with relationships, either because of their use or because they lie or whatever. So the goal, which is not a rocket science type goal, might be to spend time with the family 15 minutes a day, or to make a phone call, or to tell the truth. Those would all be sort of goals that would get someone on track with their values. And again, like I said, it's not very complicated, but it's a useful way of basically, what's the word I'm looking for, identifying very specific behaviors that could go along in getting people towards their goals.
Yeah, that is so important. This is a wonderful tool to really identify, and not just goals, to really make them small, achievable goals that's going to build somebody's self-efficacy and moving towards their values. And as they are building and identifying, clarifying those small goals, also mindfully clarifying, well, what is the feeling we expect to pop up? Is it anxiety that typically pops up? Is it this story that I'm not good enough, or I'm stupid, or I'm going to fail? What is the story that pops up? And can we begin to notice that conceptualized life story that locks us in and keeps us from completing those goals and moving towards values? And if we can do that, then we tend to be much more psychologically flexible, which is a concept we're going to go into in another video.
Very good. Thank you so
All right.
much.
Thank you once again.